Chelsea fans, what a performance that was. Chelsea destroy Southampton 5-1 at St Mary's Stadium to go second in the Premier League by goal difference. Now things are going to be very interesting going into Christmas. Now over the last 2 seasons, myself and other Chelsea fans would have been absolutely petrified going into a game like this because this is the type of game that Chelsea would have dropped points in. But today, we flipped the script, we destroyed Southampton 5-1 and secured another huge 3 points. Now overall, it was a fantastic performance, but there are a lot of positives and a few negatives that I want to talk about. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the 5 things that we learned from Southampton 1, Chelsea 5. Did you know that 90% of the people watching this video right now are currently not subscribed to the channel? So make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. Make sure you join the community and let's get into the video. The first thing that I want to talk about is Axel Disasi. This guy was fantastic tonight. A player who doesn't play very often, and when he does, he's normally playing right back. But tonight, he was centre-back, he had a point to prove, and he played very well. He got himself a goal from a set piece, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. But overall, a very good game, and I'm very happy for Axel Disasi. I think genuinely, as a centre-back, he is a very good centre-back. He just doesn't get enough game time and consistency to play there. Now, I will mention throughout this video that we were playing bottom of the league. I totally get that, but you can only play who is in front of you. Axel Disasi made some great defensive blocks. He kept his line, had a solid overall game, and got himself a goal. It's just a really good night for Axel Disasi, and it's so good to see. The second thing I want to talk about is Jorgensen. This was a massive game for him today. It was his Premier League debut, and what a debut it was. Unfortunately, he conceded a goal. We will talk about that in just a second. But myself and a lot of Chelsea fans have been screaming for Jorgensen to be Chelsea's #1 goalkeeper, and now he's played in the Premier League and had a very good game. This goes with him in favour for knocking Sanchez for that #1 spot in the near future. Now, like I said, Jorgensen did concede a goal, which obviously goes against him a little bit. But if I'm being honest, I don't think there was anything he could have done with the goal that he conceded. It was just a defensive lapse of judgment. Tosin was not marking his man. He was switched off in the box. Enzo's challenge was kind of like a 50-50 where he won it but didn't really commit through it because I don't think he wanted to give away a penalty, and we conceded with a cutback, a goal. You know, it's just one of those things that does happen in football. But overall performance from Jorgensen was very, very good today. Made some incredible saves when he was called upon because he didn't really have much to do, but when he was called upon, he made sure he was there and reliable. His distribution was fantastic, whether it's short passing, whether it was Southampton's high press and he was just dealing with that sort of close style football that you normally see from outfield players. Whether it was long balls, whether it was throws, he was finding people 30, 40, 25, 50 yards away, no problem. And we really got to see Jorgensen's distribution. It was spot on today. I really think Enzo Maresca is going to have a headache a little later in the season because Jorgensen is playing well a lot more consistently and Sanchez is starting to pull his socks up and put in some really good performances as well. So it'll be very interesting to see if Jorgensen can take Sanchez's spot over the course of the season. But I just wanted to highlight Premier League debut, fantastic game. The third thing I want to talk about is set pieces. We finally scored from a set piece. For weeks and weeks, I've been saying how bad Chelsea are offensively and defensively at set pieces. But tonight, the set pieces throughout the game were really good. They were a very high standard compared to what we have been seeing. And we scored from a corner, which I think was our first set piece of the game very early on. Great header from Disasi as well to attack that early. It was just so nice to see. When it comes to the defensive side of set pieces, I felt like we dealt with them no problem. Again, I know we are playing Southampton, so it's not to be blown out of proportion, but it shows that Chelsea can do it, and that is what we want to be seeing. One thing I also want to touch on, I mentioned this in the previous video, the defensive line, week by week, is getting better and better. The amount of times we are catching players offside is actually climbing up there, and it's really good to see. Just to see that the defensive unity is there. We can hold that line and the players trust each other. I'm really hoping that Chelsea can kick on in the second half of the season and really improve them set pieces so we can be more of a threat offensively and be more solid defensively. The fourth thing I want to talk about is Noni Madueke. This guy just dropped a man of the match performance. He is very frustrating at times. Granted, that is one of my main gripes with him. However, tonight he had a point to prove and delivered. He got an assist off the bench against Villa. He started today, got himself a goal and an assist, and to be honest, he could have had his second hat-trick of the season tonight against Southampton because he missed 4 big chances. Now, normally, that would be considered a negative thing, but he was so good at creating, he was getting involved, and overall, his decision-making was a lot better. The goal that he set up for Nkunku, it was a perfectly weighted pass. He didn't try and go for goal, and in that situation, I think it was rather easy for Noni to try and shimmy around the keeper and try and score himself, but he didn't. He looked up, he served up the plate for Nkunku, who then tapped the ball in. Overall, I think Noni's game was great. Again, he was frustrating in spells, but I feel like that's just his style of play and the role that he's taught to do. It's going to be frustrating. But I also feel on the other side of things, he was quite unlucky because he created a lot of chances and was cutting the ball back and trying to cross the ball, and no one finishes his chances. The fact that he has got 2 assists in 2 games showcases he is really stepping up and he's starting to contribute on the GA stats, which I know some people live and die by. For me, it's usually the eye test that's backed up with GNA, and you kind of combine the two. It was just surprising that when I did my video about reasons why Noni should be dropped, which is what a lot of Chelsea fans have been saying for a while, myself included. I think he's been off the boil. This was a perfect way to bounce back. This was a perfect game to come back and drop a man of the match performance. I was shocked to know when I did that research that Noni's barely got any assists in the whole time he's been at Chelsea. And after a while thinking about it and looking at things and watching highlights, there's a lot of times where his chances that he's created haven't been finished off. Well, tonight they have been. Against Villa, it was. And he was voted man of the match. He could have gone to a number of players tonight, but I wanted to highlight that Noni Madueke had a fantastic game. He had a big point to prove, and he proved it, dropping 1 goal and grabbing an assist. Now, before we get into the 5th and final thing that we learned from Southampton 1 at Chelsea 3, I have 3 honourable mentions that I want to go through. And the first honourable mention is Jadon Sancho. This guy has found a completely different form while being in a Chelsea shirt. Is it Jadon Sancho finally being happy when playing outside of a system he didn't like? Is it Enzo Maresca? Is it the team he's playing with? Is it a mixture of everything? We don't know. We don't care. This guy has 7 goal GA contributions in the last 10 games. He has been absolutely fantastic. And tonight, it was so good to see him get his first Chelsea goal. The amount of times that myself and other Chelsea fans have been screaming at the stream, at the telly, in the stands, whenever Sancho has been in a position to shoot and he doesn't, it is countless. The amount of times we've been screaming for him to shoot. The one time he does, he scores a banger. And probably one of the hardest chances out of all the ones where he could have shot, to take on the shot. And it goes in. It's a fantastic goal. Another goal contribution within his stats, which is great. But really, he's just a transformed player. And it needs to be highlighted that even if he comes on off of the bench, he makes an instant impact, whether it is a goal or an assist. He's a frighteningly good player who is coming into form at Chelsea, and I'm so happy that we're going to be able to buy him at the end of the season for literally 25 million. The second honourable mention is Enzo Fernandez. This guy is in red-hot form right now. I said in my preview, can he make it 3 goals in 3 games? Even better, he can get an assist and continue this run of contributing something so the stats can be pleased, but it looks great on the eye. He was fantastic tonight, connecting play, getting in little pockets of space, making them pass in triangles, breaking forward. He gets him his assist early doors with that great delivery of the corner that Disasi finishes off. It's just been a great time for a Chelsea fan right now. Everyone is playing well in all their positions. Players that haven't been playing well are now coming into form almost at the right time when we're in this very dense set of fixtures just before Christmas. Enzo Fernandez is going strength to strength, week by week, game by game, and it's so nice to see. Like I've said before in previous videos where we've highlighted how good he has been, his partnership with Caicedo is getting better and better, and we're finally seeing why they have been put together and why we've spent so much money on this pairing, because it's starting to flourish. Enzo Fernandez has gone through a lot off of the pitch with personal life and things like that. That seems to be behind him, at least to a degree, because what he's doing on the pitch now is just a completely different player from what we've been seeing in almost the last 2 years. And the third honourable mention is Cucurella and Caicedo. These guys are fantastic. They are pivotal. If we didn't have them, we would be a completely different Chelsea. They have been fantastic for such a long time now, and they still get better and better. Their standards are so high. It is unbelievable. Cucurella at left back, best in world football right now. Caicedo at DM, best in world football right now. We are so lucky to have 2 players like that. And again, tonight, even though we are playing bottom of the league, they did everything they can in that Chelsea shirt to make sure we got the 3 points, we scored the goals, we didn't concede any more. Now, there were times in the game where Southampton cut through our midfield relatively easy. But again, it was recovered well with the likes of Disasi Tosin at times, Gusto, and especially Cucurella. And he was always on that counter trying to drive the ball forward, giving it to people like Caicedo and Enzo who can then take it to that next step. Caicedo made some incredible tackles like he always does. And it's not like a 5 things we learned because we know this by now, but it needs to be mentioned. It's an honourable mention because these guys are absolutely fantastic. And the 5th and final thing that we learned from Southampton 1, Chelsea 5 that I want to talk about is Joao Felix. Now he gets an amber box, which is the first time I've done something like this because I'm going to be honest, his overall performance was fantastic. I really like the tenacity and the defensive work of Joao Felix. He is not scared to get stuck in. Sometimes he can be a bit rash and reckless with his challenges and he gets booked. I can see that. But I also love that about him. He's not scared to get stuck in. He's not scared of the physicality of the Premier League. He just loves to get involved. And tonight, the amount of times he's won the ball back and driven the ball forward was fantastic. The way he connected the patterns of play, unbelievable. The balls he was playing through, the chances he was creating, fantastic. There was only one part of his game that let him down. And I'm going to give you a second to guess it. His finishing, correct. His finishing let him down. That header, I still can't understand how Joao Felix has missed that header. He was so casual with it. He was on his own, acres of space, tried guiding it, and it still went wide. And there was a couple of times, a couple of opportunities, whether they were blocked or whether they just went wide or over. It is one part of Joao Felix's game which, if he improves, he's an absolute world beater because he's a beautiful player to watch. He glides past people, left, right, and centre. Sometimes he can overcomplicate it, but he usually gets away with it because he has that defensive work ethic to win that ball back. And again, a lot of people were surprised to see him play in off the left-hand side, and I think he had an overall game was fantastic. It was just his finishing that let him down. And in a game where we're chasing a goal, when we need a goal, it would have been highlighted a lot more. And I think a lot of people were even thinking like, wow, how's Joao Felix not scored that header? Now, it didn't matter too much because, again, we were already taking the lead and we were controlling the game at this point. But when you are in a game where you're chasing a goal or you need a goal, you want someone like Joao Felix who can create chances and get in space like that to be able to put these chances away. So those are the 5 things that we learned from Southampton 1, Chelsea 5, plus some honourable mentions. Do you disagree with my analysis or do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I love having a conversation with you guys. If you made it this far to the end of the video, there'll be a thumbnail on the screen. If you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.